Unlike any other country who made their constitution from scratch, India decided to learn from the best of the world and lay a strong foundation for governance. Hello, aspirants. My name is S. Sonar, and today I am going to discuss how the Constitution of India was made and how the various provisions were taken from various countries. And maybe that is the reason why Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar said that Indian Constitution is a bag of bones. Without any further delay, we are going to jump to the topic. Our first provision, that is the fundamental duties, have been taken from the Soviet Constitution, that is from USSR. Remember, friends, that previously Russia was not a country. Basically, there were several countries and they formed a union known as USSR, that is Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And later on, it disintegrated in the year 1991. But we have taken the provisions such as fundamental duties and ideas of justice that include social, economic, and political justice in the preamble from the Soviet Constitution, from the Constitution of Soviet Union. Moving to the next slide, that is the British Constitution. Friends, British Constitution played an important role in the formation of the Indian Constitution. Why? Because we have taken various provisions from British Constitution as well. We have taken parliamentary government. Yes, the government of India is parliamentary form of government, is not it? We have taken legislative procedure. Friends, whenever I'm saying legislative procedure, it means whenever we are making any law, it must follow a particular procedure, and this is known as legislative procedure. Now, we also have the concept of single citizenship taken from the British Constitution, the cabinet system. Yes, in India, we follow the cabinet system. The purgative writs that is mentioned in the Article 32. And according to Bhimrao Ambedkar, that is also known as the very heart and soul of the Indian Constitution under Article 32, right to constitutional remedies, that has also been taken from the British Constitution. We have parliamentary privileges. Yes, the members of the parliament are given several privileges, be it immunities or be it certain kinds of payments, salaries, and various other perks. These are known as parliamentary privileges. The concept of bicameralism. Yes, we follow the concept of bicameralism, that we are having both the upper house and the lower house. The upper house in India is known as Rajya Sabha, whereas the lower house in India is known as Lok Sabha. And remember, in India, the lower house is more powerful than the upper house. Moving to the next country, we are having, friends, we are having the US Constitution. The US Constitution. We have taken the concept of fundamental rights mentioned in the part 3 of the Indian Constitution from the US Constitution, that is from the Bill of Rights of US Constitution. Independence of judiciary. Yes, our Indian judiciary is independent. Neither the legislature nor the executive can interfere in the proceedings of the judiciary, and this concept has also been taken from the Constitution of US. Now, friends, the concept of judicial review. What is judicial review? When I'm saying the concept of judicial review, what is judicial review? Friends, whenever any law is made in a country, whether it is violating any fundamental right or not, this has to be reviewed by the judiciary. And this process is known as judicial review. And if found that any of the laws are violating the fundamental right, that law shall be termed as null and void. Null and void. So this concept is known as the judicial review. We also have the process of impeachment of president. President cannot be removed directly if he commits any mistake. There is a proper mechanism for this, and this is known as impeachment of president under the Article 61 of the Indian Constitution. Friends, removal of Supreme Court and High Court judge, removal of the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court and Vice President, this concept of the post of Vice President also has been taken from the Constitution of US. So US also had to frame the Indian Constitution a lot. So moving towards the next slide, we are having the Irish Constitution. Remember friends, the provision mentioned in the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, that is DPSP that are mentioned in the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, that are directive principles of state policies. Basically, these are a set of directives given by the center to the state while formulating laws and policies. It's not a legal obligation. They're not required to follow it, but in order to promote social and economic justice, this DPSP is followed. And the nomination of members of the Rajya Sabha and method of election of the president, this process has also been taken from the Irish Constitution. Moving towards the next slide, friends, we are having the Canadian Constitution. Remember, friends, India is a union of states. We all know that. But our center is having more power. That concept we have taken from the Canada, from the Canadian Constitution, that is our federation with a strong center. Our country is a federation of states and it is having a strong center. And the appointment and the process of appointment of governors by the center. In our country, the governors are appointed by the president. Is not it? So this process has been taken from the Canadian Constitution. The advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court of India, that is under Article 143 of the Indian Constitution, has also been taken from the Canadian Constitution. Remember friends, this is very important, the advisory jurisdiction of Supreme Court. Moving towards the next slide, we have Australian Constitution. Friends, the concurrent list of the Indian Constitution, that is aspects, that is the provisions mentioned in the 7th schedule. 7 schedules has 3 lists, is not it? What are the 3 lists? One is central list, one is state list, and one is concurrent list. One is concurrent list. So these lists are mentioned under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution, and every list have certain subjects mentioned under them. So when it is under central list, when the subjects are under central list, only the central government can make laws or provisions under the subject of the central list. Whereas when the subjects are under the state list, only the state government can make certain provisions or laws. But remember, when the subjects are under the concurrent list, both the state government and the central government can make certain provisions. Freedom of trade, commerce, and the joint sitting of the 2 houses of parliament, this provision has also been taken from the Australian Constitution. Remember, the concurrent list is mentioned under the 7th schedule of the Indian Constitution. French Constitution. French Constitution is very important, friends. Why it is important? Because in the preamble, we have mentioned the ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Fraternity is nothing but a sense of brotherhood. Liberty, equality, and fraternity, in the preamble, these aspects have been taken from the Constitution of France or the French Constitution. So this is much, there's not so many important aspects regarding the French constitutions which we incorporated. We only have these ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity which we mentioned in the preamble, and that has been taken from the French Constitution. So moving to the next slide, we have the South African Constitution. Now, friends, remember, whenever we are try to make any change in our constitution, there is a proper mechanism for this. And this mechanism is known as constitutional amendment mentioned under Article 368. 368. So, this is known as the process of amendment or procedure of amendment, and this procedure has been taken from South African Constitution. And the election of the members of the Rajya Sabha, how will be the elections is going to happen, how will be the election done. So this process has been taken from the South African Constitution. So remember friends, these are the important aspects. The process for amendment is very important and it has been taken from the Constitution of South Africa. Now we are moving towards the next slide, that is the Japanese Constitution. Remember friends, Japanese Constitution has given us a concept known as procedure established by law. It means simply anyone cannot make any law randomly. Okay, suppose tomorrow you are becoming the president and there is any idea coming to your mind, you cannot make that particular idea a law. A proper system, a proper mechanism must be followed, and this is known as procedure established by law. It means that a law that is duly enacted by the legislature or the concerned body is valid only if it followed the correct procedure, which means without the proper procedure, any law will be not applicable or will be declared null and void. Okay. So friends, moving towards the next slide, we have the Weimar Constitution of Germany. From the Weimar Constitution of Germany, we have taken the concept of suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. Suspension of fundamental rights during emergency. Yes, friends, remember that during the emergency, all of our fundamental rights are suspended except Article 21, and there is one more article that is suspended during the emergency. And I want you all to comment in the comment sections. Friends, moving towards the next slide, we are having the Government of India Act. Apart from every other countries, the Government of India Act also, that is in the year 1935, played a pivotal role in helping the framing of Indian Constitution, and we have taken several provisions from that part, that is the emergency provisions has been taken from that particular part, that is part 18 from Article 350 to 360. Now, I would also like to tell you about the emergency provisions. Article 352 is national emergency, Article 356 is state emergency, and Article 360 is the financial emergency. Now, Public Service Commission, be it the UPSC or state PCS, these provisions have also been taken from the Government of India Act, that is part 14, that is Article 315 to 23, the judiciary. The judiciary have been also been taken from the Government of India Act, that is mentioned under the part 4, Article 124 to 147 of the Indian Constitution. Federal scheme of the office of the governor, that is Article 153, and some of the administrative details that are mentioned in the Government of India Act. Friends, this was all about how many sources we followed while making our Indian Constitution. Yes, we followed multiple sources, but we framed it according to our requirements and our necessity. Friends, that will be all from my side for the day. If you want to learn more topics in a simple and holistic manner, stay connected with Edufy.